Good afternoon and welcome to the Executive Member for Environment and Climate Change decision session on Wednesday, 8th of June at 3 o'clock. I'm Councillor Woodison and we'll just go through the agenda as it's in front of me. So first point on the agenda is declarations of interest. We have no declarations of interest. Second item on the agenda is public participation. We have two public speakers. So Catherine, can I invite you to the table? I'm sure you're aware of how it works. You've got 3 minutes and I'll make some notes. Is that okay?
So I'm Catherine Crocker and I came here last November worried about pollution in Fishergate. That hasn't changed, by the way. But we're also at that time looking forward to the action plan, which seems now to have been delayed. So now we have an air quality report on 2021, and the report suggests we should be developing an evidence base. But I would suggest that you already have the evidence, and we do have dangerous pollution, and we do need an air quality action plan sooner rather than later. In 2021, results show nitrogen dioxide pollution levels all over the city back to 2020, back up from 2020 levels. That was the pandemic dip. Three areas show significant rises: Gilligate, Blossom Street, Rougier Street, and they're all above the recommended annual mean objective. Gilligate even up beyond the 2019 level. The other graphs concentrate on PM10, PM2.5. We must be ambitious with what we want in York. A new Government Environment Act this October is to set 10 micrograms per cubic metre for PM2.5. And we should, just about, make that level. Harm from PM2.5 doesn't stop once you creep underneath the legal limit of 10 micrograms. We should be aiming continuously to reduce population exposure, even if the limits in the Environment Act are not exceeded. We must show continuous improvement, even once the maximum limits are no longer exceeded. Because some pollutants, like 2.5 PM, are quite long-lived, the emphasis on electric vehicles, which seems to be in the report, will not be the solution. All traffic needs to be reduced. One tyre, no matter if it's an electric vehicle or not, lasts 20,000 miles and produces 4 kilograms of microplastics during the lifetime of the wearer of the tyre. We need investment on high quality monitoring data, and York has been a good exponent of that in the past. But to switch off monitors and chase the hotspots of pollution would be misplaced. Even if the location is below the legal limits, equipment should be kept on and kept running, and the monitors are our canary in the coal mine. The guard against this going wrong, and they help us understand whether the local actions and interventions are actually working. As for my own ward in Fishergate, I believe the committee should be working with the Transport Strategy Committee and developing an ambitious plan to reduce traffic pollution. 2 schools there and many residences. Maybe something like making a one-way traffic system seemed to work in the report on Coppergate. We could reduce it by half and make a much better cycle, and a much better cycle and walk to school. To conclude, less traffic, and an ambitious transport plan. We need an action plan urgently, and we could plan now for York to become a leader in the UK cities, setting our own ambitious pollution reduction targets for the city. We are harming ourselves and our children if we don't.
Can I ask you to finish now? Thank you.
It's too much to tell you about.
Thank you. Thank you. Comments have been noted. Second public speaker is Mr. Jeff Beacon.
Thank you.
Jeff, I know you know that it's 3 minutes,
yes.
So if you would like to sit down. Okay.
Yes. I've been sent a note by Councillor Fitzpatrick. I have had acute bronchitis twice in the last few years with associated breathing difficulties, very low levels of oxygen in my blood. My GP has recommended being in a fresh air environment and having a period of rest until my oxygen levels improve. As a councillor for Guildhall Ward, not being able to breathe cleaner air affects my ability to walk around the ward and engage with residents as I would normally do. She also, Councillor Fitzpatrick also included the note from Chris Donigani. York Council required mechanical ventilation and non-opening windows on a flat conversion on Gillygate in an air quality management area. At levels of pollution defined in AQMAs are of harm to health and residents in the area. As such, York Council is tasked to improve the air quality in these areas. AQMAs, this is what I'm saying, are to protect health of residents in the area, but sideline affect those who regularly pass through affected areas, as Councillor Fitzpatrick does. We should note the health effects of air pollution have increased because of the increasing number of people are suffering breathing problems after COVID infections. And essential to tackling this issue is to map pollution levels throughout the city. There is a network of many devices measuring nitrogen dioxide and some measuring particle pollution. However, this network is flawed. The siting of measurement devices is a problem. Diffusion tubes to measure NO2 pollution are typically placed 2.5 metres above the ground. Humans breathe in air nearer the ground. In the case of children, this is often below a metre. The more comprehensive stations which measure particle pollution are also high. The measuring apparatus in Gillygate is not just too high, but the other side of a wall. There is a pollution bike, which is part of an exhibition in Blossom Street Gallery. The bike rides around York, measuring levels of pollution at a level that humans breathe. The council should commission the artists and scientists concerned
30 seconds, Joe.
with the exhibition to help the pollution in that at human breathing level, or conduct a similar exercise. Thank you.
Many thanks. Comments will be noted. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the report by Mike. Oh, sorry, there's the minutes. I always forget minutes. I have read them. Can I ask just one minor change on it? Could you say Councillor Wilson rather than she? Every time I see she, I think of the councillor. So the next item on the agenda is a report from Mike on the air quality status, the annual report. Mike, would you like to take us through your report, please?
Okay, brief overview of report details the latest air quality monitoring results available for York and progress in achieving York's current air quality action plan, and that's our third air quality action plan, AQAP3. In fact, the aim of AQAP3 is to deliver further improvements in air quality. The report also seeks approval to refurbish our air quality monitoring stations using existing grant funding to ensure compliance with the Environment Act 2021 and DEFRA's local air quality management requirements. Recent air quality monitoring can be summarised as follows. Actions taken by City of York Council, including our voluntary clean air zone for CAZ, and the ongoing electrification of buses and taxis have helped to reduce overall concentrations of nitrogen dioxide, NO2, in 2021 to continue the long-term general downward trend of the past 10 years. Concentrations were generally lower in 2021 than in pre-pandemic levels in 2019. The majority of York has good air quality and met the health-based annual air quality objective, NO2. However, it was exceeded in 3 technical breach areas within the city centre air quality management area, that is the Gillygate, Bootham, St Leonard's Place, Museum Street technical breach area, Holgate Road, Blossom Street technical breach area, and Rouget Street, George Hudson Street Bridge Street technical breach area. Highest concentration recorded for NO2 was Gillygate at 47.5 micrograms per metre cubed. The target is 40. Concentrations of particulates, that's both PM10, that's the larger microparticulates, if I can put it like that, with a 10 micron diameter, and PM2.5, which is the smaller ones that have a bigger health impact, are well below the current health-based air quality objectives. CYC has continued to deliver measures within our third air quality action plan. These include our continuing electrification of the city's bus network, funding for 33 fully electric buses and charging infrastructure at our park and rides. Then in March 22, we were awarded a further 8.4 million via DFT to fund an additional 44 new electric buses, and this will be matched by a further £10 million from First. An additional £17 million was awarded in April of this year to support York's bus service improvement plan, and this includes wider electrification of the urban bus fleet to further reduce emissions. We did, of course, introduce the first and only voluntary clean air zone for buses and allocated funding to help to replace and retrofit 93 buses to our CAZ compliant standard. For Council's innovative tax incentive scheme, this is our second tax incentive scheme, has encouraged over 30% of our taxis to switch to low emission vehicles. We've agreed to transition of the council fleet to electric for all council vehicles under 3.5 tonnes as part of a 4-year programme. We've developed low emission planning guidance to improve air quality, reduce exposure and low emissions associated with new developments. We've implemented measures aimed at deterring vehicle idling, including the Kit for Habit anti-awareness campaign. We've obtained DEFRA funding to carry out a feasibility study and subsequent pilot schemes to reduce emissions from deliveries, especially for city centre. And currently we're promoting the government's national Burn Better campaign, and we're beginning checks of solid fuel sales to ensure correct certification in order to reduce particulates from domestic burning. The Environment Act, as mentioned previously, of 2021, introduced a requirement for new national air quality targets, including a new target for PM2.5 by the 31st of October 2022. Refurbishment to our monitoring stations are proposed to ensure that the monitoring equipment that we have remains fit for purpose, meets current DEFRA standards, and continue to be used for measuring key pollutants in real time for comparison with our health-based standards. The executive member is requested to note the contents of the report and submission of the annual status report to DEFRA. Note the generally improving trend in air pollution in recent years, progress made with the third air quality action plan, and plan to commence work to update the current plan in line with the Environment Act of 2021. Also to approve the refurbishment to our 3 air quality monitoring stations. I'll stop there.
Excellent. Well, first of all, many thanks for the report, because I can see the amount of hard work that's gone in there. And I also know, that there's been an awful lot of hard work gone in over 12 months. Just a few overall points, and just to make sure that our public speakers hear this. We're not waiting for an action plan to do stuff.
No.
We've got a myriad of actions across the piece. So from my understanding of the work that you do, and from my interpretation of all the activities that I see right the way across the council, first of all, the air quality in York is good and it continues to improve. Yeah. Secondly, there have been 3 areas where it's been breached. Is it breached occasionally or constantly?
It's an annual hourly average, and therefore the measurements are averaged out over a period of a whole year.
Okay, so sometimes
it's good, sometimes average, sometimes it's bad.
Okay, but average, it's
But
still
average, it's bad.
Right.
It reaches
the refurbishment of the measuring tubes kit that you require, which you're asking me here. Of course, we're going to put that money in, and we need to make sure that it is at the right height and all the rest of it, which I know you're the expert in it, and they are deployed correctly.
Yes, we are restricted into what we can do. We have to deploy all our monitoring equipment in line with DEFRA requirements. We can't just do our own thing, or our measurements
That's
become
fine.
completely meaningless.
Okay, so that's absolutely fine. Okay. Now, in terms of Fishergate, Fishergate does not breach any of the regulations and the legal requirements that we've got. Because the
Fishergate,
AQM came off that quite a while ago, didn't it?
Fishergate has been under the air quality objectives for a number of years now, and the concentration of pollution continues to decrease.
Okay, and from where I'm sat, the amount of activity and investment that I've seen in active travel, which is walking, biking, e-scooters, e-bikes, the increase in the cycleways, the increase in the education beyond travel, we are encouraging people not to use any vehicles at all. From the money that we have got for the several 36 million pounds when you add it all together, to electrify the vast majority, if not all, of the buses across York over the next few years, and support the fares on those buses so more people again can choose not to use their own vehicle, again will improve the air quality across York.
All those measures and the other measures that I mentioned earlier.
Okay, that is fantastic. Well, I think that this is an excellent report. I am more than happy to note all of the fabulous work that is going on, and I am more than happy to agree, is that the phrase I'm supposed to use, Robert? The funding that is being requested. So again, Mike, many thanks for your report. Okay, so we're now on to the next item. We can ask you at the end, but we can't into the way it's run. Okay.
Do you want me to stay until the end? Or?
I don't know, what's the usual?
No,
No.
if you're not needed the rest
If you're
of
not
the agenda,
required.
you don't have to stick with it.
Okay. Thank you. It's on to the next item, which is going to be presented by Ben. And Ben, I know you've had some issues now that his reports are well done. Fantastic that you got here. Thank you. If you'd like to take us through your report on household waste recycling.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Widdowson, and apologies for being late.
Please don't apologise.
A few operational challenges today. This report is regarding the DEFRA consultation on the disposal of what they're classing as DIY waste at household waste recycling centres. So in April, the government published a consultation to reclassify disposal arrangements around DIY waste at household waste recycling centres. It is part of the wider resources and waste strategy. They are looking at introducing a measure whereby local residents won't be charged for disposing of their DIY waste. Currently, both residents and traders that use the household waste recycling centre are charged to dispose of certain types of waste. That's mainly bricks, rubble, plasterboard, and then certain difficult to dispose items such as fire extinguishers and asbestos. In terms of the reclassification, they're looking at treating such products as bricks, rubble and plasterboard and classing those as DIY waste. The charges for asbestos and fire extinguishers would be unaffected. The proposal included within the report, and Appendix 1 is a suggested response to the consultation from ourselves as the City of York Council. I think there are some challenges in terms of the suggested way forward within the consultation. Firstly, it would be very difficult for local authorities, not just ourselves, to effectively manage and police the scenario whereby DIY waste was free of charge and managed in the way that is indicated within the proposals. It would lead also to a significant number of businesses who actually undertake commercial work actually requesting that householders dispose of their waste from those commercial activities as DIY waste. So in effect, you know, there will be a transference of waste from the traders sector into the homeowners sector. That then obviously will place a higher demand on the household waste recycling centres, which could have an impact on queuing times and availability, and also a negative impact from an environmental perspective in that it could lead to increased journeys to the household waste recycling centres through smaller trips with cars as opposed to one trip with a van. It would also lead to an increase in cost for us as a local authority in terms of obviously A, the income that comes in currently would be lost, but B, there would be additional resources required in terms of managing the household waste recycling centres as per the consultation, where they're asking local authorities to administer the requirement for the amount of household trips, where they're indicating that that should be a limit of weekly. That would mean having additional staff on site. And then obviously increasing costs that way. The report obviously sets out the amount of income that is charged currently at household waste recycling centres. It is probably fair to point out that in the last 12 months that has been higher than a normal year, and that's obviously reflective of, I think, the situation with COVID and the amount of home improvement projects that have been undertaken. The report sets out the clear recommendations, and it is seeking your authorisation for the response to be submitted. The deadline for the response is the 4th of July.
Okay. Many thanks for the report. And as ever, there's, you can already see from the consultation what's going to happen. We're going to have more trips. We're going to have more fly tipping. There will be a temptation by traders to get the house owner to get rid of the waste, so we'll get more air pollution.
Yeah.
So absolutely agree with your submission, and let's hope we can put some common sense into the consultation. So yeah, many thanks for that. I absolutely agree with it.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Is that?
Yeah, that's all good.
That's okay, right? Okay, just making sure, because sometimes I get told I have to do a certain form of words.
No,
Okay.
if we're approving the response, then yeah, that's all fine.
Right, so approved on that. So the final item of business is urgent business. I'm unaware of any. So many thanks for watching. Meeting is closed.